I got an animation project on my hands right now that I cannot wait to tell you all about it. This one really has me buzzing, and I think without further ado, let's jump into the review of the new film Mantra Warrior: The Legend of the Eight Moons. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film Mantra Warrior: The Legend of the Eight Moons, which makes its North American premiere this year at Fantasia Festival 2024 under the Animation Plus category. Now, this one is brought to you by the good people at RiFF Studios, which I'm not even about to sit here and pretend like I knew who they were, but I looked them up and they actually have been a part of a lot of your favorite things out there. They've done some role with McDonald's, they've done some stuff with Crash Bandicoot, Trinity Hunter, one of my favorite games in Apex Warriors. I mean, the list goes on and on. You can check it out at riff-studio.com. But today we're talking about an original IP, which is brought to you by RiFF Studios. It is spoken in its native language of Thailand, which in this case I watched the sub version, so it had English subtitles on this. But man, this was something, and I definitely have a lot to talk about here. And the first thing I want to say is, like, I have not, like, traditionally been a fan of this style of animation. And when I say this style, like, there's a few different types of animation styles in this, but the main style that you see about 85% of the time, I wasn't always a fan of it. But I have grown to like it over the years, and that's because I think, like, how it really adapts to other media platforms, like folks who are taking, you know, these characters or whatever and putting them into music videos, something like League of Legends did with KDA. And then you also got, like, you know, going from like a film or a series into a video game. Like, the adaptions just look so much better when it is this style of animation, instead of it like losing certain, like certain movements or just any of those sorts of things that are complicated about, like, transitioning from one thing to the next. But, like, again, I wasn't always just like the most, like, pleased with this, but, like, it really has grown with me over the years. So with that being said, like, you know, if you like this style of animation, like, there you go, that's number one. If you have been a little bit reserved for it, like I have, I think give it a try. Like, this style of 3D animation is definitely becoming more and more popular, and I think it's because of the versatility behind it. And then, you know, I'm a big Apex Legends fan, so, like, you know, when you see new trailers that drop with Apex Legends, like, they use this style of animation. And then when you look at the trailers and you bring it back to the game, like, it looks exactly the same, so it works, you know what I mean? But with that being said too, for this being an original IP, obviously I have no background, no reference materials, anything coming into this, completely new and raw. I saw it on the list of films premiering this year, and I said I needed to check it out. Fantasia has religiously had good premieres of animated films in the past, and this one really caught my eye for a lot of different reasons, but ultimately, I mean, like, Mantra Warrior, like, that sounds cool as hell. And then, you know, when you get to look at some of the characters and some of the art, you're like, yeah, that looks like that's going to be something. But I gotta say, before we even talk about what the film is about, it does a lot of world building in 90 minutes. Like, they got so many ideas in this film that you may get lost in some aspects, but you're, like, completely on board for whatever they want to do, both now and in the future. And they do not leave you guessing long about what they want to do going forward here. But it is truly just a very simple battle and conflict and war, shall we say, between good versus evils, and also, you know, discovering new planets, obviously. But you have a leader of one planet, and then you have this sort of bad guy that comes in, and he wants to end up ultimately being the mightiest warrior in the galaxy. But also there's legend through these two new Mantra warriors that, like, when the moons align, that they will get their powers, and obviously they will protect you know, all the people from the evil powers out there. It's very simple. You already, without me even having to tell you everything, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But with the bad guy King Pally, I really did like this villain. You know, while the villain is much like in most of these type of either series or movies, like the villains don't really give you so much aside they're just mean and evil, and then they give you a good boss battle, and then that's it. Like, you kind of buy into the villain a little bit here. I like the design of the villain. I like the power-ups with the villain, which I'm going to cover so much more with this. But like, I did like King Pally. Definitely posed a threat that kept you interested about what the good guys were going to pull out. And then when you talk about the two mantra warriors, you have Vayu and Wella, and you know, their story arc definitely gives you a good foundation to go for it with these characters, and obviously be really the catalyst of these stories to come. But listen, so much world building, so like, it's so much to really grasp and retain in one watch, which, if you're going to be like me, you're going to definitely want to watch this multiple times. But like, it's so beautiful. Like, the worlds, the vivid and bright colors that they use. I mean, they got these little cute companion creatures that's like the Chows in Sonic. You know, they layer this with like a banging score that really keeps things upbeat, especially when the battles go down. And then the power-ups, man, and the power-ups got, you know, not just natural power-ups with abilities, but also they got mech as well too. It's like, they give you everything that you want here. It's really hard to not be satisfied if you love this type of animated films when it comes down to, or animated or anime when it comes down to action. Like, they definitely give you top tier animation, sci-fi, fantasy, action all together that just really is like a start of good things to come, shall I say. But yeah, very beautiful, eye-catching moments, good fight sequences. I you know, typically in these type of films or series, whatever you want to call it, because I'm you know, you can get it either way. The third act is usually the strongest. I felt like this film didn't quite end on its most strongest note. I felt like the middle was definitely where all the action and everything was really getting into gear. But I think that's because this is just obviously just the first of many things to come. So they had so much they wanted to accomplish. They wanted to get you hooked. They wanted to get you invested. They did that. But again, because you're learning so much, the names of these different planets, all these characters' names, you know, who everybody's kind of clicking with, you know, the good guys versus the bad guys. And then you're also hearing about, you know, previous battles and other history moments with some of these folks. Like, you're getting a lot, and you're trying to really like digest it all at once, which will be my thing that I did struggle with this film. Is at times where like new things were kind of introduced. You kind of like, well, where did that come from? Where's the significance of that? Because you're trying to make everything meaningful. You're trying to understand what everybody's sort of just significance in every moment, and like random things were kind of coming up. Like towards the end, there's this like glowing pink butterfly, and I'm like, what is that about to do? What does it mean? And I honestly don't know if they answered it at all, but I know it appeared. It had this moment, and then it was just nothing else after that, you know. But you know, for a good start for original IP, I'm definitely hooked. I mean, anytime I see Mantra Warrior, I'm like, give me more. And again, they don't leave you guessing. They're telling you more is coming. So with that being said, listen, the voice acting definitely, especially with this being a Thai film, typically in this genre, you know, it either has a heavy English presence, sometimes a Spanish presence, but definitely a Japanese presence. I'm here to say that the Thais are here to play. RiFF Studios absolutely are ready to make a statement in this genre and become a household name, and to make sure that everybody is on board for Mantra Warrior. And then they have so many different types of characters, so many different types of personalities, so many different types of power-ups. Listen, there's this character, Shaman, I believe it is. Nothing but labs, completely unorthodox, bizarre at times, but like easily the character that you just can't wait to see what's going to do next. Like, Shaman is literally... If you are a JoJo's fan, you're going to be like, I know this character. You know what I mean? But with that being said, yeah, it's a must watch. It's definitely a must watch. It's 90 minutes and it's packed from beginning to end, to the point that they probably maybe needed to make this just a little bit longer to try to give a little bit more backstory, because from beginning to end, it is nothing but constant action and world building, introduction to these characters, but not just a introduction where it's like this character, blah blah blah. It's like right into the trenches with things. And then, like I said, the third act, which you would expect like to be your big boss battle, was definitely like the crescendo into what's going to be the next chapter. So with that being said, listen, you got a mid-credit stinger, you got an end-credit stinger, and then during the credits, you also get to see this cast come together, and you get to see the recording process and everything that really brought this to life with RiFF Studios and their voice acting crew. So I enjoyed this film. Definitely one you want to put on your radar. So yeah, check out Mantra Warrior: The Legend of the Eight Moons, which did premiere sometime last year in October, but makes its North American premiere this year at Fantasia Festival. Jump in the comments, folks. Let me know your thoughts about this one once you check it out. And as always, stick around for more reviews very soon.